With a wardrobe full of sinister disguises, Sauron is the villain who just can't resist a dramatic entrance. So grab your snacks and buckle up as we dive into the adventure of this 71,460-year-old man through his CV, if he has one. The one and only Sauron, or as his close friends and enemies like to call him, Anatar, Gorthauer, Myron, Zigur, the Enemy, the Eye, the Necromancer, the Shadow. Clearly a guy who knows the importance of rebranding. His objective? Simple. Rule Middle-earth and make sure everyone remembers him, preferably while wearing some seriously eye-catching bling. Educated under Owley the Smith in the Timeless Halls, he majored in metallurgy with a minor in world domination. His expertise? Crafting, especially when it comes to jewelry. In the days before days, Myron was the poster child for goodness and trustworthiness, until he met Melkor, the cosmic troublemaker. Myron, looking for a shortcut to greatness, because why do it the hard way, saw Melkor as the ultimate life coach. While Melkor was plotting to destroy or control Middle-earth like a toddler throwing a tantrum, Myron just wanted to mind control its inhabitants for what he thought was their own good. After joining forces with Melkor, Myron pretended to still be on the Valar's good side while secretly snitching to his new master. Real loyalty points there. After Melkor wrecked the two lamps, Myron left the Blessed Realm for Middle-earth during Melkor's unchecked reign, bending the knee as his most trusted servant. After Morgoth built Angband, he appointed Sauron as its commander. Let me tell you about Sauron's impressive skill set. This guy is fluent in Valoran, Black Speech, Adunaic. Basically, if there's a dark language, he's got it covered. He's even proficient in Westron, because why not? His expertise in manipulation and strategic planning is legendary. Oh, and creating powerful artifacts? He didn't just dabble, he made the One Ring. As for project management, Sauron's got years of experience in large-scale dominion, from running Barad-dûr to managing an entire Dark Empire. His LinkedIn would read like a world tour. Timeless Halls, Angband, Dol Guldur, Valinor, Utumno, you name it, he's conquered it. As Melkor's right-hand man, Sauron racked up leadership skills while executing delightfully wicked plans. He was knee-deep in chaos and destruction, proving that nothing says team building quite like a good old world domination scheme. With a flair for turning minor inconveniences into epic catastrophes, Sauron showed us all that sometimes you just have to embrace the chaos. In the First Age, Sauron was the ultimate villainous sidekick and master of mischief. While Melkor was busy breeding orcs, Sauron played the sneaky buddy. He even faked resisting the Valar during the Battle of the Powers while Melkor gathered forces in secret. Classic distraction. When Melkor got caught, Sauron quietly slipped away like that friend who always leaves the party early. As Melkor sat imprisoned, Sauron ran Angband, rebuilt it, and grew the orc armies. He even terrorized the elves on their Great March, earning the name Gorthauer, Dread Abomination. By year 1495, Angband was ready for Morgoth's return. When the Noldor fought for the Silmarils, Sauron became Morgoth's top villain, turning Tol Sirion into the Isle of Werewolves. He ruled as the Lord of Werewolves. Then came Beren and Finrod, who tried to sneak past him in orc disguise but got caught. Sauron, karaoke champion, defeated Finrod in a song battle and threw them into a dungeon, where his werewolf crew waited. Enter Luthien and Huan, the heroic hound. Huan crushed Sauron's wolf army, and when Sauron transformed into a giant werewolf, Luthien's magical veil knocked him out. Huan pounced, forcing Sauron to surrender his castle. Sauron fled as a vampire, vowing revenge. After Morgoth's defeat in the War of Wrath, Sauron tried to fake repentance but bailed when Eonwë demanded he return to Valinor for judgment. Not into family reunions, Sauron vanished into Middle-earth. This guy was self-employed from the Second Age all the way to the Third Age, and boy did he know how to get things done. He almost conquered all of Middle-earth. Seriously, talk about an overachiever. Sauron was a master at schmoozing, especially when it came to the elves, tricking them into whipping up the rings of power. And let's not overlook Barad-dûr. His fortress was like the ultimate evil bachelor pad, complete with stunning views and just the right vibe for a Dark Lord. Who knew evil could look this good? After a cozy 5th-century nap, Sauron decided it was time to make a comeback around Second Age year 1000. He set up shop in Mordor, built Barad-dûr, and gathered an eclectic army of orcs, trolls, and all the creepy crawlies left over from Morgoth's garage sale. He corrupted many men, particularly the Easterlings and Haradrim, seeking absolute power as a god king. Sauron, feeling snazzy, put on a pretty face and introduced himself as Anatar, the Lord of Gifts. He buttered up the elves in a region, particularly Celebrimbor, while Galadriel side-eyed him from the corner. He convinced them to forge some fancy rings of power, because who doesn't love a good bling? Little did they know, he was secretly crafting the One Ring to rule them all, like the ultimate party crasher. And with the One Ring, he is unstoppable. When he finally slipped on the One Ring, the elves were like, "Surprise! We knew you were trouble!" They promptly hid their rings, leaving Sauron fuming. Sauron raised armies and prepared for war, leading to the War of the Elves and Sauron in Second Age, year 1693. Despite initial victories, he was defeated by Númenóreans in Second Age, year 1700, forcing him to retreat and rebuild his strength. Sauron's power never quite regained its old glory after the war with the elves, but he still managed to turn his enemies' homelands into a real estate nightmare. As the Númenóreans were busy claiming their share of the Westlands, year 1800, Sauron was expanding his own empire, turning barbarian men into his unwitting fan club down south and east. After his elf pals ghosted him, he decided to spread some shiny bling, handing out the Rings of Power to 3 corrupted Númenórean lords, an Easterling king, and 5 other guys, sort of like a really exclusive jewelry giveaway. The dwarves were tough cookies and shrugged off the rings, but the men eventually faded into the background, becoming ring wraiths in year 2251, basically his most devoted, if invisible, minions. Believing he would conquer all of Middle-earth, Sauron took on grand titles like King of Kings and Lord of the World. In Second Age year 3262, the proud Númenóreans, already under the shadow, were offended when Sauron's forces fled from them. Sauron thought, "If you can't beat them, join them," and let himself be taken hostage by King Ar-Pharazôn. He quickly became the king's favorite advisor, Ziggur, the wizard, convincing everyone to worship Morgoth like it was the latest trend. Ultimately, he convinced the king to attack Valinor, promising immortality. This prompted Eru, the supreme god, to intervene, drowning Númenor and destroying its navy. Although Sauron's body was lost, his spirit survived, returning to Mordor to regain power. By year 3429, Sauron was back and angrier than ever, attacking the newly founded Gondor and Arnor. The last alliance of elves and men formed, leading to the Battle of Dagor-Lad. After a 7-year siege, Sauron faced off against Elendil and Gil-galad, both of whom he dispatched like old pizza. But Isildur had the last laugh when he chopped the One Ring off Sauron's finger, leaving the Dark Lord without his fashion accessory. Thus, as long as the ring remained, so would Sauron, and in the first millennium of the Third Age he lay in hiding, slowly recovering strength until he securely regained some extent of a physical form. Fast forward to Third Age year 1000, and Sauron finally starts reforming his body. Takes a while when you're a disembodied evil spirit. The Valar, basically the gods of Middle-earth, freaked out and sent 5 magical wizards, one of whom you know and love as Gandalf, to stop him. But Sauron was already flexing his dark powers, setting up the fortress of Dol Guldur on a hill in southern Greenwood in 1050 and disguised as the Necromancer. Very on brand. By year 1300, Sauron was back in full evil overlord mode. Orcs were breeding like rabbits, Nazgul were popping up everywhere, and a few dragons joined the fun. He orchestrated attacks on the free peoples of Middle-earth, destroyed Arnor, and snatched up Minas Ithil, now rebranded as spooky Minas Morgul. He corrupted the Easterlings and forged alliances, while the wise monitored his rise. Sauron then took a little vacay from Dol Guldur in year 2063 after Gandalf sniffed around too much, but like all bad neighbors, he moved back in by Third Age year 2460, stronger than before, and with more henchmen in tow. The wise formed the White Council, Gandalf, Saruman, Galadriel, Elrond, the Middle-earth A-Team, to stop him, but Saruman was already scheming for the ring himself. Meanwhile, Sauron stirred up trouble all over, even enslaving men from the east and south, basically collecting minions like Pokemon. By 2951, Sauron officially moved back to Mordor, like the Landlord of Doom returning to his lair. Barad-dûr got a renovation, and the Nazgul were back in business, stirring up all sorts of trouble in Gondor. He also went full Big Brother with his Eye of Sauron, constantly watching for any sign of the One Ring in year 3000. Gollum even got tortured, revealing that some hobbit named Bilbo had stolen the ring, which only added fuel to Sauron's fire. By Third Age year 3019, Sauron was feeling pretty confident, until Aragorn dropped the mic by revealing himself as the heir of Isildur via the Palantir.
Behold the sword of Elendil,
sending Sauron into a paranoid spiral. He panicked and launched an early assault on Gondor, thinking he was about to win the war. Meanwhile, Frodo and Sam were quietly making their way to Mount Doom with the One Ring. Sauron, distracted by his own massive ego, didn't even notice. When Frodo finally claimed the ring at Mount Doom, Sauron was like, "Wait, what?" He sent the Nazgul rushing over to stop him, but it was too late. Gollum, bless his chaos-loving heart, fell into the lava with the ring, destroying it. Barad-dûr crumbled, and Sauron's spirit tried to make one last dramatic comeback, but a gust of wind blew him away like a bad dream, ending his reign for good. And that's how the biggest bad guy in Middle-earth was finally taken down. Not with a fight, but with a bit of trickery, a hobbit, and some very bad luck.